Rocky Top Insider presents the RTI Lowdown with Bob Baskerville and Chris Lowe.
Welcome. It is time for another episode of the RTI Lowdown. I'm Bob Baskerville with Rocky Top Insider, joined here as always by my guy Chris Lowe with On3 Sports. Heading into Thanksgiving, I'm in parts unknown. I'm actually at another address as we get ready for the holidays, but we definitely wanted to make sure we got one more episode of the Lowdown in before we hit the holiday, because there is a lot going on. We got a lot to talk about today. Before we get started, Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to Thanksgiving. Looking forward to, I think, Bob, what's as compelling a Thanksgiving weekend lineup of games as I can remember in a long time. A lot of stakes.
Yeah.
A lot of implications, playoff, a ton. And, sometimes this last weekend is anticlimactic, but not this year, man. There's a lot out there.
Yeah, most definitely. So we'll get to it. First off, though, if you're watching us, you are on the Rocky Top Insider YouTube channel, and please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We really appreciate the support we're getting on the show. Maybe you listen to us as a podcast later. That's great, too. We are pretty much findable wherever you listen to your podcast, so make sure you download us there as well. This episode of the Down Low, or the Lowdown as it were, is brought to you by the Tate Insurance Group. If you're in the market for great locally based insurance professionals to help with your home, your car, or life coverage, don't look any further. It's the Tate Insurance Group. They're here to help, and we appreciate their partnership with the Lowdown. Quick overview of today's show. We're going to recap Tennessee's win over Florida. Happy to say that happened. We'll look ahead to possibly the biggest Vol and Vanderbilt matchup ever in the history of that matchup. And we're going to talk a little Vol football with a guy who prior to Saturday was the last Tennessee quarterback to win in the swamp down in Gainesville. We'll be joined by VFL and the favorite Vol footballer of many, the Iceman, Clausen, will join the show. And if that wasn't enough, basketball season is officially underway. But now it's really underway with the Vols taking the floor in Las Vegas at the Players Era Invitational. The boys now have one game under their belt with a massive matchup on the way against Houston. But that first game, little spoiler alert, it was pretty impressive. We'll talk about that a little bit later as well. But first, topic A for today, Vol football. They exorcised the demons of the swamp. I was saying they not only drained the swamp, Chris, they burned it to the ground, put the Gators away early in this one in a 31-11 rout. We, and by we, I mean the Vol fan base, were all in our feelings last week about this Florida matchup. We all know the history. Florida is Tennessee's kryptonite. The Vols have lost games they shouldn't when it comes to Florida, but turns out this version of Florida really was who we thought they were. This one was never in doubt, starting with that opening drive, Chris.
I don't believe in curses, Bob. Never have. Jinxes. I know we like to talk about them. But I'll tell you what, had Tennessee lost this game, I think I would have been a convert. I think I would have believed in curses.
Yeah.
Florida limping to the finish, the interim coach, some guys out, a Florida team that just really looked like it was, a wounded animal almost. And had Tennessee gone down there and lost, maybe you could have convinced me that there were curses. Tennessee was a better football team. They had more to play for. It was a matchup I felt like if Tennessee could start early and get some things going offensively, which they did, then this is a Florida team that was probably going to mail it in. And that's exactly what happened. Tennessee jumped on them. It was, 14-0, 21-0 before you knew it. Tennessee had them on their heels. Tennessee's offensive line, I thought it was one of Tennessee's. Not everybody's going to talk about the second half, what Tennessee didn't do in the second half. But the way they really just sort of imposed their will offensively in the offensive line, Joy was on target, Aguilar, this game was over. Once they got up 21 points, it was over.
Yeah. I mean, it's right off the bat, Vols take that opening kickoff, masterful 9-play, 75-yard drive, resulting in a 23-yard touchdown pass from Joey Aguilar to Ethan Davis. Joey was 3 of 3 on that drive, and then Deshaun Bishop was a workhorse. He carried the ball on all 6 rushing plays in that drive for 30 yards. Quick statement in the game's first 3.5 minutes. And then they stop the Gators in their first possession and add another TD in a super efficient 7-play, 3-minute drive. So like you said, Chris, it was 14-0, barely halfway through the first period. And then the second quarter was just more of the same. To me, and yes, you're right, Tennessee did take the foot off the gas in the second half. Florida scored 11 points, but it was hardly consequential. To me, this one felt different from the start, and I'll give you some of the examples where I saw breaks going our way, and I want to talk about those, Chris. That opening touchdown for Tennessee. Florida comes back on their second play from scrimmage, and they have a 40-plus yard run and catch play from Jaden Baugh. And for me, I was like, oh, boy, here we go. This one's going to be back and forth. But the play got nullified by a holding call. That doesn't happen that often in this series, it feels like, when it's Tennessee, Florida. And then in the second quarter, Joey's back to pass, gets crushed from behind by a Florida defender, fumbles, the ball rolls around for a second or two, and then lo and behold, the guy who recovers it is Joey Aguilar. I mean, at that point, man, I was like, okay, the gods are on Tennessee's side this time, because those are breaks that usually wouldn't happen in their favor in a game like this.
There are a lot of things that would have surprised me. Had Florida won, I wouldn't have been shocked given the series. But the one thing that would have shocked me, Bob, is if Tennessee had gone in there and not been focused and not been ready to play.
Yeah,
I felt really confident they would be, talking to people close to that program all week, and they were. They were. Now, they've been ready to play before in this series, and Florida's found ways to win. But this time, no. And you're right. They had a couple of things go their way, but I think more than anything, physically, Tennessee just was a better team, and they were more ready to play. They're more equipped to play. They hit Florida, pardon the cliche, they hit Florida in the mouth, and Florida didn't really respond.
Yeah.
And if you're going to go and win at a place that you haven't won at in over 2 decades, and as Josh said, man, none of those kids were around. Heck, half of them weren't even born, or probably nobody was born.
Yeah.
The last time Tennessee went there, maybe 1 or 2, but they all hear about it. They read about it. It's talked about ad nauseum. That's just the way it is when one team has the other's number, the way Florida's had Tennessee's number. But the best thing, I think, if you're looking at it through a Tennessee lens, the best thing about that game is they went in equipped to play, ready to play, mentally, emotionally, physically, and they were physically the better team to open that game. And once, as I said, once they got up 21-0, Florida wasn't coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even the biggest skeptics, because I was on a text thread with some people who were saying, so it's, it gets up to 28-0. And then Florida seems to be building a drive on offense. And looks like we're getting near the end of the first half. Lagway makes a pretty impressive run. Florida's getting deep into the red zone. And somebody texts saying, I know how this is going to play out. Some people still had that battered Vols syndrome. They were like, Florida's going to score. They're going to get the second half kickoff score again. It's going to be 28-14, and all of a sudden it's going to be a game. What happened, and it fits exactly with what you were just saying, Chris, was Tennessee's defense buckled down. I thought the defense, by and large, they had a few moments, but by and large, they played really well in this game. And they shut down Florida. Florida had to settle for a field goal attempt of 38 yards, which in this day and age is kind of a chip shot, but they missed it. And all I could think of was our good friend was smiling down on us, John Ward. Remember, no sirree. That was all I could think of when Trey Smack missed that field goal. So Tennessee gets the ball back with a little over a minute to go. They drive down, get another field goal, and instead of everybody's concerns, it's 31-0 at half, and you're right, game over, man. That was it. That was truly it. And our producer Rick, he was down there in Gainesville, and it sounded like the people were heading for the exits at halftime, the Florida fans by and large. So I don't know. But I wanted to ask you this. In summary, for me, I think back to this season in general, that's as complete a first half performance as I've seen from Tennessee all season. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, the first half against Georgia was pretty good. Tennessee probably had their chance to really step on them and didn't in that
Yeah.
first half. Georgia's certainly a better football team than Florida.
Yeah.
That game was in Neyland. So there are two stark differences there. But I'll say this, it's certainly the best half of football I've seen Tennessee play against Florida, maybe ever.
Yeah.
The only one that would really rival that was, I'm going to go back a ways, was the 90 game in Neyland Stadium when Tennessee started the second half. Dale Carter took a kickoff on a bounce, no less, took it back to the house for a touchdown. And Tennessee, I think, scored 28 points in the third quarter and just absolutely annihilated Florida 45-3. Actually threw an end-around pass in the second half of that game. Von Reeves, Knoxville product, Von Reeves had Carl Pickens in stride. I can still see that like it was yesterday, which again shows that I'm getting old.
Yeah.
But that is the only half against Florida in this series, in my lifetime anyway, that I can remember where Tennessee has been that dominant over Florida. But again, I want to emphasize this. To me, that shows, I don't say growth, but it shows some maturity. It shows the kind of focus. It shows Josh's handle in this program, that they went in and did what they should have done. That is not a good Florida team. It's a Florida team that would be in chaos all year long with this interim coach. And going back to my first point about curses, you go in and you take, when you're a better team and you got a team on the ropes, a program on the ropes like Florida, I don't care if they beat you 90 straight times, you go in and take care of business. And Tennessee did that. I think that, to me, over and above everything else we want to talk about, what they didn't do in the second half, what the streak was, the fact that Florida didn't have its head coach, Florida had some guys missing, Florida had quote unquote mailed it in. To me, none of that matters, Bob. You got to go win that game if you are who you think you are. Tennessee certainly thinks they're a top 15, top 20 team, and they got it done.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and you look, boy, the statistics didn't lie either. I mean, Tennessee doubled up Florida in first downs for the game, 28-15. Huge edge in total yards, 452 to 261. The Vols in third and fourth down efficiency, they were 10 of 14 on third and fourth down. Now, bear in mind, fourth down, they only went for it one time, but still just tremendously efficient. Meanwhile, the Gators were only 2 of 10. Joey Aguilar, good, solid game again. I mean, kid was dealing, man. He was 10 of 10 to start the game. Finished 17 of 22 for 204 yards, 1 TD, no picks. Really important given what had happened with Joey the last few games. That's like 34 or 35 straight 200-plus yards passing games in his career. So the beat goes on for Joey. But what they really did, and I thought this was going to be a key to the game, they hammered the run. It really led the way. 51 carries as a team for almost 250 yards. And Deshaun Bishop was just a monster. We talked about that opening drive. He kind of set the tone there, but 24 carries, 116 yards. He was taking a beating too and still had 2 TDs. Great game for Deshaun Bishop.
Listen, when they run the football, I know the stats bear this out. You can say this about a lot of teams. When they get it rolling offensively and they get you on your heels running the football, which they did, man, they're tough to beat. And I think that goes for every game Josh ever coached there at Tennessee. And they were able to do that. They were able to run the ball, get the running game going, and then hit the pass. I think if someone said, who's the MVP of that game? To me, it's the offensive line. Because they moved him off the football. Joey had time to throw. Now, Joey did a nice job of getting rid of the football. He didn't hold it. He knew where he was going to go with the football, but he had time. And you see an offensive line like that on the road. And listen, Florida still got some good players. It's not like they're playing with JV guys. One of their best defensive linemen came back and played in that game.
Yeah.
So I think when you look at Tennessee this year, I don't know if that's their best performance in the offensive line. Maybe it is. Maybe it's close. But as I watched that game play out in the first half, and when Tennessee took charge, it was behind that offensive line. They moved him off the football. Joey had time to throw. Guys had a chance to get open in their routes, and just was all clicking on offense. And as you said, the big thing is they didn't turn it over.
Yeah. I mean, that was a big development. Big plays all the way around, too. Star Thomas had that 52-yard run, I think that was on third down, maybe.
Third and long, like third and 17.
Yeah. He had 71 yards rushing because of that long run, had a TD for himself. and then a new leader at the top of the receiving game, at least for this game. And it's one I've been waiting for a long time. Ethan Davis. Kitzelman was out, so Ethan Davis was in, 5 catches, 72 yards, and a TD at tight end. And he's the guy, I've seen it so many times. There's moments where that guy looks undefendable because of his size and speed. And man, he was flexing that Saturday night.
Yeah, I think he's a guy that you're going to see certainly as they go into the next year, and they got at least 2 games to play, that you're going to see more and more part of what they do, because he's a tough matchup for defense. With his ability. As you said, he's got good speed. He catches the football. He's pretty good in the open field when he does catch it after the catch. So, yeah, I like what he can grow into. And you look at tight ends in Josh Heupel's system over the years, he's certainly one of those guys I think they'll be able to utilize even more as they go forward. But, this season has been frustrating for a lot of Tennessee people because Tennessee has been close and hasn't finished games. They couldn't finish the Georgia game. They couldn't finish the Oklahoma game. They had crippling turnovers. And I think it was a lot of people, and Ashley, fans, you pointed out, I heard it too, that we're sort of worried, all right, is Tennessee, are they fragile? Is this a Tennessee team that's, going to be a little bit, not nervous, but just sort of on the edge going there to the swamp with all it was around, and they weren't. And I think, again, that shows a lot of growth and sort of where this program is right now, that they didn't. They played like their hair was on fire and not scared, not intimidated, not worrying about what was being said or what the narrative was. And I think that's the thing that I felt going in. I just had that feeling that Tennessee was going to go in ready to play one of its better games, and we certainly saw that in the first half. Now, I've heard a lot of gnashing of the teeth and this and that about the second half. And I mean, I guess that's going to happen. It's the SEC, Bob. It's, nothing's ever perfect. Someone asked me today, well, it seems like in hearing some on talk radio, on message boards, in the barbershops, it's like, well, did Tennessee win or not? When you hear some of the belly aching about the second half. And, my comeback is always this. I don't know if you saw The Dark Knight, but remember when the Joker was just starting to wreak havoc and go crazy, and Batman turned to Alfred and he said, what is he doing? What's going on? And Alfred said, sir, some people just like to see the world burn. And I think that's sort of what we're running into with some fans is, what? You won by 3 touchdowns over a team you hadn't won in their place in over 2 decades. Enjoy the ride, man. Enjoy the ride.
Well, I saw somebody post on social media, and I thought it was brilliant. The Sunday night NFL game last night, the Rams just laid out Tampa Bay, right? It was 31-0 at half. Final score was 34-7, I think. And somebody said, man, nobody's talking about Sean McVay taking his foot off the gas in the second half. The Rams are as good as it gets right now in the NFL. And it's like, sometimes, man, take the W and move on, particularly in this type of a rivalry series that's now going to go away. At least it's not going to happen annually. And, by the way, Tennessee now can say, we've won 2 in a row the next time they come. So now it's like, it feels like maybe some of that shifted to Florida. It should at least. So again, big win. With the win, the Vols move up 2 spots in both the AP and the coaches poll. They are now up to number 18 as they continue to slowly climb back into consideration. Again, not for the playoffs or anything, but of course it'd be nice to finish in that top 15 by the end of the season. And now that the ghost of Florida in the swamp is a memory, it feels like as a fan base and certainly that team, we could see it. There's got to be renewed optimism as the season draws to a close and it's a good thing because there is still a huge, huge matchup in front of the Vols with Vanderbilt, who moved up in the rankings themselves to number 12. They're coming into town on Saturday. Vols are a couple-point favorite, and it's a rivalry game, sure, but this game is everything for Vandy, as they still have hopes for a college football playoff spot. I think a lot of things they're going to need some help, but first and foremost, they would need to win this game. And the Vols are the only thing standing in their way, and it is go time. Game time set for Saturday, 3:30 p.m. They can finish the season, this being Tennessee, at 9-3 going into a bowl game, and they could spoil Vandy's season in one fell swoop. That sounds like motivation to me.
I always looked at football seasons more not what you didn't do, but what you did do. Like maybe that's I'm a glass half full kind of guy, but I do believe when you've gone through a hard stretch, and maybe Tennessee fans don't want to hear this, but this is a program that wandered in football wasteland for 2 decades, most of it, Bob. And I think, people look back at that stretch in the 90s, the glory stretch from 95 to 98, 99, and that's the way it's always going to be. Well, guess what? That's more the outlier if you look at Tennessee over the last 30 years. So I always look at, all right, they haven't beaten Georgia. All right, I'll give you that. They haven't won a game in the playoff, but let's look at what they have done since Josh Heupel arrived. They've beaten Florida 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
How many years do you have to go back prior to that to find 3 wins over Florida?
In a 5-year period.
25?
Yeah.
They ended that long 15 or 16 game losing streak to Alabama and beat a guy by the name of Nick Saban.
Yep.
They've beaten Alabama twice, since he's been there. They ended this long losing streak at the Swamp, 22 years. They got to the playoff for the first time ever in school history. And as you just said, if they can win over Vandy, and it's not going to be easy. This is far away the best Vanderbilt team Tennessee has played in my lifetime, 50 plus years. But if they win, that's 4 straight years of 9 or more wins. That hasn't been done since Fuller did it in 95, 96, 97, 98.
Yeah.
30 years. So again, I think it's important to look at what has been done, what has been accomplished versus what hasn't. Is it perfect? Does Tennessee still need to grow in their program? Does Josh need to grow? Absolutely. There's still another step or two that they need to take. But boy, they've taken several hard ones, and which brings us to this weekend. You said the biggest Vandy Tennessee game in history. I think it's the biggest game for Vanderbilt in its entire history. I don't think they've ever played a bigger game, a more impactful game than this one when you look at what's at stake. And it sets up to what I can think of a bunch of stinkers over the years, Vandy and Tennessee, that I went to or attended. And more times than not, it was a blowout. Vanderbilt was able to get Tennessee in 05 when Jay Cutler was there. Franklin got them. Derek Mason got them. By and large, this is a rivalry that Tennessee has dominated. And now here comes Clark Lee and Diego Pavia and company, a confident bunch, a good, talented, well-coached bunch. This has a chance to be, I think, as good a game in this series as any of us have ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, and we've touched on that from time to time. He's starting to annoy me, to be perfectly honest. But the fact of the matter is, Diego Pavia is a player, and that whole mindset of his has permeated the whole team. And Vanderbilt believes that they can win. Man, that's who they are now. So this is, like you said, this one's going to be a war. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But based on what I saw Saturday night, I have a lot of renewed faith in what I think this team can do on their home field in a game that truly, truly matters, and finish the season strong. Right? That's really the whole hope here.
I tell you what, let's bring in special guests in the studio. I go back with him a ways and start talking about VFLs and guys who were a big part of Tennessee football history. This next guy, Casey Clausen, is right there, and I was there in both 2001 and 2003. When Casey led Tennessee to wins over the Gators in the Swamp. And it's hard to believe. I think we've got Casey. It's hard to believe, man. That's been 22 and 25 years. Casey, man, how are you, brother?
I'm great. How you doing, Chris? How you doing, Bob?
Good, buddy. Check you out, man. You're going mobile here.
You don't look like you've aged a year, man.
Hey, I got little guys. Jimmy and I are coaching a little 7-on-7 team. So I got a little practice here going on here shortly. So thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate it, Casey. You're the first one that came to mind. I was trying to think of somebody that knows what it means to beat Florida. There are not a lot of Tennessee quarterbacks that can say that. You can. Certainly Joey Aguilar can now. But as you watch that game Saturday night and watched it unfold, the way Tennessee hit them in the mouth early, what was going through your mind?
I got to watch the first half, and I'm glad that they handled their business in the first half. We had a dinner later that night, but obviously a huge game and huge win. I think you hit it. They started out fast, as we said, throw the first punch, and I think the first 4 drives were all touchdowns. And From what I was told, Florida was juiced up, energized. Stadium was filled to the brim. I know they honored Coach Meyer, I believe, during that game as well. So they're ready to play, but we never even gave them a chance to play, really. I mean, we just took it from play one all the way and really put them back to them in the corner. And I think once it was 14-0, it was close. And then once you go 21-28, it was pretty much, a wrap. But super excited for the team. Obviously, I know the guys, played super hard. And really excited for the fan base and the coaches. It's been a long time, and I'm glad that streak got broken finally.
Hey, Casey, I was thinking about this from the standpoint of kind of quarterback to quarterback. And I know it's different eras, and I know it's certainly a different coaching staff, but I figure you can appreciate this more than anyone. Given what Joey Aguilar has done, the whole circumstance that happened with him being at UCLA, then not being in the picture, then coming to Tennessee and that weird swap with Nico. I think sometimes, myself included, because he's had a couple games, it wasn't Saturday night, but he's had a few games where, he was a little more careless with the ball. But all of that said, we've talked about where this team would be if we didn't have Joey. And I want to get your take on just the understanding of how he picked everything up and worked hard to not only be a great quarterback on the field, but it feels like he's a leader in the locker room too.
You just hit on the head. I think everyone sees the product on the field, and obviously he's a very experienced guy. But I had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to go back and to meet him, and the way in which that he was accepted by his teammates, and not only be accepted, but to be one of the leaders. And I think the camaraderie of the team, the togetherness of the team, to click that fast in such a short period of time, to me, is unbelievable, and really kudos to him. Playing the game is one thing, but to walk in the door as late as he did, to be accepted by your teammates and trusted by your teammates, really a credit to what he's all about, and not only the player, but I think the person. And I watched pretty much majority of the games. I just love his mindset. He just lets it fly and plays the game the way it should be played, and obviously competes, and obviously his teammates trust him and love him, and super excited for them, and really anxious for this weekend's game. I know it's a big game as well, and just really proud of the way in which I think the entire program and really fan base got that win last Saturday.
Casey, I guess what we know now is it takes a California kid to beat the Gators. Joe was a California kid. You did it twice down there. So that's what we've learned, I guess, over the last 2 decades plus. Give us your mindset, a quarterback's mindset, when you go into a place that that program hasn't had a lot of success. I remember talking to you in 2001 and 2003. You say, hey, man, I love going to other people's place, their venue, and playing and winning. And you and that team had that mentality. Clearly Tennessee had that mentality on Saturday. But what kind of rush is there to go in to a place like the Swamp where maybe your program hasn't had a lot of success and get it done?
I think it's a mindset. 75% of it really is that mindset. Not everyone enjoys crowd noise or enjoys people yelling things at them or enjoys the juice and the energy that opposing stadiums bring, exact same way that Neyland brings when other teams come in our house. So when we're in offense, I mean, it's loud, it's chaotic, it's crazy, and not a lot of maybe quarterbacks or linemen or receivers like that or enjoy that. I thrived on it. I mean, that was fun to me, to be able to see how they, you're pulling the bus into the stands of the stadium and they're tailgating and rocking your bus at certain places. Like that just got, myself as a competitor and a lot of the guys when I played, I think up for it. And I think similar to this team, no matter where they're playing or no matter what the conditions are, they're just going to go out and compete and play as hard as they can for 4 quarters. And I think that's all that we, can ask as alumni. And I think that's all the coaching staff and the fan base can ask. And so it just was a joy to be able to see all the fans this past Saturday night, the coaches, the smiles on Max and Frage and Hawk and everybody, Scotty. It was just a great night and a great feeling for Tennessee fans.
By the way, there was some video I saw on social media. I think you can appreciate this. Both you guys could. And I know Frage too, of him walking in with Heupel at the Swamp. And I mean, he was walking with purpose, man. Seeing Roger do that, I was like, holy heck, man, he's still got it. That just made me laugh.
He looked like Vince McMahon on WWE when he walked in the ring, man, swinging those arms.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was something else.
Yes, sir.
So this is what I was going to ask you when you talk about being able to go on the road, like you said, and man, you were masterful in so many games, and you were in some of the toughest environments. We just talked about the swamp, but also, Tuscaloosa, South Bend. I'm an Indiana guy at heart, and I know what it's like to have to go up there. It's tough. I've never played there, obviously, but I know what kind of environment it is. Out of all those, you conquered them all, but which one would you say was the one where it was like, man, this is insane? Which one was like at the top of the list for you?
I think those ones that you mentioned, the environment that to me, of all of them, that was right up there, if not the most electric, was Baton Rouge at night. I was a true freshman, so I only played a series or two. That game, AJ, ran the show for the most part, but that environment at night, let's just say that the fans have a lot of free time to enjoy themselves during the day.
Yeah.
And when you walk out of the visiting locker room, Mike the Tiger's right there. And it's a pretty electric place, I'd say, as a 18-year-old freshman, maybe a little intimidating. But when that thing is going and cranking, I'd put, Baton Rouge, they call it Death Valley, obviously, the Swamp. We didn't get the win, but Auburn was electric. Georgia, at night as well. They're all really fun environments, just depending upon, I think, where those programs are at certain times.
I tell you though, Bob, a Clausen does have a skin though in Baton Rouge. I was there the night. Rick Clausen,
yes, he was,
led the Vols to one of the most surreal games I think I've ever been to. Remember, that was a game the team had to go down the day of the game.
Yes, sir.
They moved that game, I think, to Monday,
Yes,
because of the hurricane.
Oh yeah.
Tennessee traveled down. Rick, I think, came off the bench.
Yep.
Tennessee won late. It was a great football game. I mean, back and forth. Tennessee won the game. That's 05. So something about those Clausens and playing in tough environments, man. Maybe it's just in the blood.
We're not going to name names, but that was an interception thrown by another quarterback in the end zone, if I recall correctly, right?
Yes, sir. That was a special one for Rick because maybe some know, but some don't. I mean, he started his college career at LSU. And that was when Andrew Whitworth and a lot of the guys were either redshirt juniors or sophomores.
Mm-hmm.
He knew pretty much the entire, team. So for him to be able to go down there and be able to compete, perform, and get the win for the guys was a special time for him. Yes, sir.
Casey, people ask me all the time, I don't know about you, but Vols from years gone by. Still hard to believe I met you 25 years ago when you were a freshman. What are you doing now? Where are you living? Tell us about your family. I know you're coaching, doing some stuff.
Yeah, so we're running the commercial insurance business that my father ran a long time ago. And oddly enough, a lot of that cross-selling is on the personal line side. We do a lot of homes and cars and boats and planes for, ironically, coaches. And we have a lot of coaches currently that are coaching in the NFL, as well as a lot in the SEC. And it's a unique time for a lot of them, obviously with all the potential changes going on. I have 3 kids. My oldest is 6th grader, daughter. My middle daughter is in the 3rd. And then my little guy's in kindergarten. So I got 3. Rick's got 2. And then my brother Jimmy has 3 as well. So we work hard during the week. And on the weekends, we're at some sporting event, whether it's baseball, volleyball, soccer, flag football, you name it. Just trying to, help out in our community as best as we can. My father and mother are, come to all the games and are supporting, obviously, their grandkids now, like they did when we were playing. And it's a great time in my life to be able to, work and, do that for the family, but also be able to, be involved in the youth sports with them.
That's a good segue for a question I had for you, Casey, and that is, given what you do with, like you said, helping your community, helping develop some of these younger athletes, in this day and age, everything that's going on now with, college recruiting, NIL, all this other stuff. I have a friend actually who's a Division III head football coach for football. So, he's talked about, at this point, when he's recruiting kids, it's got to be a certain kind of kid, because obviously the high talent ones are going to be getting different kind of offers. Are you encountering any of that through some of the kids you're coaching? Are they, it's got to be mind blowing, I would think, for you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's full blown. NIL was created out here probably 2 or 3 years ago. with kids coming to California from other states that did not offer that. And so we were at a private school for a while, Rick and I, at Bishop Alamany, where I went to high school. And it's everything. Used to be, financial assistance. We call them scholarships.
Sure.
And transportation. But now it's that, and then the house arrangements, as we say, dealing with whoever controls a kid. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. That's what we got out of that. And Rick's at a public school now, Westlake, where we live, and turn that program around. But it's different. And I think at the end of the day, you still have to be able to perform. We have certain requirements that, in order to come to Westlake, which is where Rick's at, certain type of families. And then if you're looking for other things, we're obviously not the school, for you when it comes to that. But I enjoy it. Obviously, there was mentors when I was, 12, 13, 16, 17 years old that obviously mentored me. And we try to do the best that we can to mentor, kids and families, regardless of the age. And if they have questions, maybe sometimes to a fault, we're very direct and very straightforward. And yes, it's very hard now. It was hard when I played, but it's times 50 to.
I think we might have lost him there briefly. There he is.
There he is.
Next level for sure.
Yeah.
We got you back.
Real quick,
go ahead.
Chris, I'm sorry, before you go, you mentioned Westlake. So is that like Westlake Village?
Yes,
that
sir.
area? I
Yes,
have
sir.
friends. I used to live out in LA back in the day, but I have friends who live in Agora Hills and that area, not too far from you, right?
Right down the street. Yes, sir.
It's a great area. Great area.
Yes, it is.
No, Casey, I think, man, we've about covered it all. We could talk for catch up 20, 30, 40 minutes, man. It just, those are great times, great memories. And we appreciate you catching up with us, man. And please give Rick our best. Please do. And the rest of your family. And let's do this again soon, man. And don't coach him up too hard, man. You're not one of those coaches. If your kids don't play well, you make them run sprints after the game, are you?
So I'm the ice cream and the pizza guy. So win, lose, or draw, we're gonna have fun, and we
Good for
do
you.
basketball during basketball, baseball during baseball, and flag football, no tackle, and we just roll the seasons around and just make it as fun as possible. And one day when they get older, if they want to do it anytime in the future, then we'll help them that way as well. So I appreciate you guys taking the time, and thanks for having me on.
You bet, man. See you, Casey. Take care, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. That's Casey Clausen, VFL two-time winner. How many quarterbacks you think can say they've won twice in the Swamp? Period.
Not many, man. I mean, maybe only him in the current.
Maybe
era.
a couple of the Florida State guys, because Florida State sort of had their number.
True.
Back there in the 90s, but not a whole lot. Certainly not in the SEC. And great to catch up with Casey. And I know he's still he's got his hand. I shouldn't say hands full. He's involved with his kids clearly, but he keeps up with Tennessee football. I haven't sort of kept up with him myself. He's always wanting to know what's going on or about this recruit or that recruit. So he still bleeds orange.
Yeah, that was
as
fun,
much as you
man.
possibly can. So it was great to catch up with him.
And
again, just sort of go down memory lane. I remember they showed a couple of the clips, Bob. I'm sure you saw them the other night of that 03 game. Showed Jabari Davis.
Yeah.
Bursting into the end zone. And they showed the play I remember from that game the most. I'd sort of forgotten about it. Was right before halftime. Tennessee's around the 50. They got one play, and Casey throws it up, and it's batted around the end zone, and James Bank catches it for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And that really sort of changed the complexion of that game back in 03. And that was, again, those were good times. And that's during a time when, remember, Spurrier's last game was 01 when Tennessee beat them there in the Swamp. Spurrier has told me multiple times that's the best team he ever had in 01 that didn't win a championship. Tennessee beat him in 01. Of course, he was gone in 03 after Ron Zook came in and took over. But I'm a little sad. I don't know about you. Maybe some Tennessee fans aren't. I'm a little sad that this series is not going to be played every year going forward.
I agree.
33 years.
Yeah.
Or maybe more than that. 92 was the expansion. So they've certainly been playing every year since 92. And they played them in 90 and 91 too, I think. So 35 years that these two teams have played every year. So it'll be a little bit of a bummer not to see them play again next year.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's some people that are happy about it. I'm not. I think to me, it's after Alabama and Kentucky. To me, it's like I don't even think about Vanderbilt as much, even though they're in state. I think that's like a rivalry to me, is that Florida game. So that'll be weird not having it around next year for sure. One thing, and I think this is a great segue to talk about our sponsor for a second. So Casey, I did not realize that he's also in the insurance business, kind of keeping the family business going. So he's taking care of people on the West Coast, and we've got someone who can take care of you here locally. And that's our sponsor, the Tate Insurance Group. They're your local insurance team. They're proud to call East Tennessee home. Just like those Vols, man, they know what it takes to overcome obstacles, to give their all and show true volunteer spirit for our community. From home and auto to business coverage, they provide personal service that you can count on. And again, they care about what you care about, because this is where they live too, so they can relate. You can reach them at area code 865-862-8233 or check them out online at tateinsurancegroup.com. Tate Insurance Group, local, trusted, and always in your corner, and right here at home. Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that. And you know what else, Chris? We have gone now, we're in the home stretch of our show. We haven't even talked about Lane Kiffin today. Who knew? I mean, yeah, who's that guy?
I've only been asked about Lane. I don't know. I mean, I've got people I hadn't talked to in 30 years from high school sending me text messages wanting to know what Lane Kiffin's going to do. And I wish I knew. I'd go to Vegas. I'd be out with the Vols now, basketball, betting, because I'm sure they'll take some action on that, where Lane's going to end up.
Oh, yeah, I would think so. I mean, look, I think the next time we do this show, we're going to know, presumably, where is he going to be? Is he going to be at Ole Miss? Is he going to be at LSU? Sounds like, at least the scuttle makes it sound like Florida's maybe losing some traction here, and that it might be either LSU or he stays at Ole Miss. But we don't know. Like you said, it's hard to tell. He sure isn't telling anyone.
Yeah, well, he's got some. Listen, both those schools, LSU and Florida, are still swinging.
Yeah,
pretty hard, and it's pretty good to be Lane Kiffin right now, because they've both put numerous proposals in front of him that would make him the highest paid coach in college football. And even though you can say, hey, we'll give you X amount of dollars to build your roster with, you really can't put that in writing, but you certainly can say, hey, we'll commit to doing that. I don't think either place he's going to have a hard time getting his hands on money to pay kids to come to school there. And Ole Miss has already, Bob, they've already proven that they'll spend big money. You look at what they've spent over the last few years in the portal, some of the players they brought in. I mean, think about it. Jackson Dart, you go on and on and on. I mean, this year, Trinidad Chambliss, look, he was a Division II player.
Yeah.
And he's been lights out. So they've proven there that at Ole Miss that they're going to invest and do what it takes to do to build, championship caliber or certainly the caliber roster where you got a chance to be a playoff team. And if they win Saturday or Friday in Starkville, they're going to be in the playoff. I don't know what he's going to do. I think he has fought this for a while and talking to people close to the situation. I know he very much wants to coach this team as long as he can coach it, but it's just not possible to keep on coaching this team, Ole Miss team, and not commit to being their coach going forward. I mean, no program is going to let you stay in the building if you're still entertaining offers, or you signed to coach at another school and you're there for 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, Ole Miss is good enough to where they can win a first round. I mean, they got a chance to get a first round game at home, which is the 20th or 21st of December. And if they win that, they're playing on New Year's Eve or January 1st. It's just, it's not realistic to think that any coach, Lane Kiffin, Vince Lombardi, whoever, is going to be allowed to hang around the building for four more weeks if they are not committed to being your coach. And I think that's what we will find out Saturday. I agree. If someone said, where is he going? If you made me make a decision, I'd say probably LSU. But you know what? I'm not guessing either, Bob. I've known Lane a long time. He's impulsive. He's unpredictable. I ain't guessing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do think that, for the longest time, he was saying last week on McAfee and other shows, Lane was saying there's no ultimatum. something tells me when he met with the AD this time, I wouldn't say it's an ultimatum, but maybe the AD's like, hey man, I got to know, and so I'm going to put it out
Well,
there.
that's semantics. That's semantics.
Yeah.
You know how that goes. I mean, it's just like no AD ever gets turned down by a coach for the head job, right? Oh no, we never offered the job. It's the same way with this. They got to have an answer, and you know what, they deserve an answer. He's got to give an answer.
Yeah.
And so that's where we are. I'm not predicting that Ole Miss loses Saturday, but I will predict there is an upset this weekend somewhere that impacts the playoff picture. I just bet you there's going to be one, Bob.
Oh, I got to say this. I mean, now don't get me wrong. I would love for Tennessee to be in the mix for playoff consideration, but man, there are going to be some teams that are they're going to get disappointed here. And I think some of it's going to happen, like you said, this weekend. There's so many matchups. And again, I think this is a different proposition if they expand the field like they're talking about the 16 teams next year or the year after. That'll change it, but then it'll just become another conundrum, right? We've seen it with basketball. You can never make the field big enough, but in a way, I hate to say it, it's like I'd love to be in that argument, but right now it doesn't. It's like one less thing I got to sweat is whether Tennessee.
But do you think there's you think there's 16 teams that are good enough to be a championship team? Are there really that many? Football is such a different sport than basketball.
Yeah.
Baseball. Coastal Carolina plays for the national championship last year in baseball.
Right.
That's not going to happen in football. It's just
No.
not. Now, I think in the portal era and the NIL era, there's a better chance of that. Could a team like Texas Tech, for instance, make a run this year? I do think there's a better chance. I just don't think – I don't know that we've got enough of a body of work. This is the second year with 12 teams. Today looks like they're going to give a little bit of reprieve, ESPN, who televises the playoff in college football, at least another month to try to figure out what they're going to do with the playoff format going forward, whether they're going to stay at 12, they're going to go to 16. The Big Ten's talked about a 2014 format. If they're going to do that, just have a tournament all year. Don't even play the regular season.
Right.
I understand the inclusivity of it. We want to see more teams. Like if they had 16 this year, Tennessee would have a shot to get in.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt would definitely be in if they were to beat Tennessee this coming. So I get that part of it, but are there really 16 teams that are capable of winning a national title? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it. You want to be careful and not turn it into something where it's too homogenized. We've seen that in the NCAA tournament with basketball, some of those play-in games. Now we've seen some bad basketball there. But I do think, like, when we talk about the Big 12, I'm actually a proponent. It's not the SEC and it's not even the Big 10, but I think the Big 12 plays pretty good football. And the thought of only one of those teams going, I mean, I could argue that maybe BYU should go as well as Texas Tech. And, that's why I think in those types of scenarios, yes. Or maybe is it 6 SEC teams versus 5, like you said. Like we said earlier, even if Vanderbilt wins on Saturday against Tennessee, they probably need a little bit of help. They do. It's not a guarantee they're going to get in. But in a field of 16, they would. So I think I'm with you. I think I'm okay with 16. But man, let's not creep it too far where you start bringing in, 4 lost teams and worse than that possibly. That's the part I don't want to see.
Let's play a few more years. I'd like to play a few more years with 12.
Yeah.
1 more year, 2 more years. And then you've got 3 or 4 years to assess it, how it's gone 3 or 4 years before you start jumping to 16 or more.
Yeah. Well, let's do a quick shift as we wrap up the show to a sport where they probably do let too many teams in their postseason tournament, and that's college basketball. Our Vols, number 17 Tennessee, they're now playing games that they've had 5 pre-conference games that are non-conference games that have been against predominantly directional schools. And it's probably served Rick well in terms of how he can work on roster rotations, roster construction. Well, today they had their first big game, and they're out there in this Players Era Invitational in Las Vegas, where there's a lot of money in play on this one, and a lot of big-name teams. Tennessee opens up against Rutgers, who was probably one of the weaker teams in the field. And thankfully, I can report that Tennessee took care of Rutgers like they're one of the weaker teams in the field. They jump out big in the first half, and then they cruise to an easy 85-60 win. I'll tell you what, I watched most of this game. And again, I get it's Rutgers. The bigger test will be on Tuesday against Houston, but Tennessee looked lethal at times. This looked different from Tennessee, particularly that first half. They looked different than some of the Tennessee teams I've seen in the last couple of years, and those were Elite Eight teams, Chris.
Yeah, I know Rick Barnes would never admit this, but I think players, they get tired of playing directional schools. You know, it's like you play the first couple games, you're going to win. And I know that's, you're playing to the outs. You're not looking at the scoreboard, the outside scoreboard. You're looking at the inside scoreboard. You play the same way. No matter if you're playing Houston or you're playing, Bearden High School. But I do agree that today, playing a Power Four, a bigger school in a bigger conference, they looked like they had a little bit more edge to them. Yeah, they look like, all right, we know it's starting to get real, and I think that's a good sign. That there were times where Tennessee was electric, and to see Gillespie play the way he did, he was dynamic. It's still one of those guys. I don't think we've come close to seeing how good he can be. I mean, it almost looks like he's just sort of coasting. I don't mean that in a negative way. He's so talented. He's so big. He handles the ball at 6'10" like he's 6'2", and it just looks too easy almost for him sometimes, Bob. Now, the thing I'm going to be most interested in seeing, not just Nate, but everybody on this team against Houston, is can they play big boy basketball? Can they get in there and absorb contact and play through the contact and make some tough twos, draw fouls, and not let Houston bully them through like the way they did last year, in the Elite Eight game. And not just Nate, but all this front line that Rick has assembled, far and away the biggest, and I think the best he's had.
Yeah,
at Tennessee.
I would agree.
And can they make some tough twos and get in there and hold their own? And I think the other thing that I want to see, who else beside Nate, and they touched, I think Candace Parker touched on this today, or maybe it was Bruce Pearl on the broadcast. And I agree. Who else besides Gillespie in that backcourt is going to be a difference maker for them, an impact player? They don't need somebody to score 20 points, but they need somebody that can spell him, can handle the ball, can make some big shots, can go to the free throw line and make free throws and not turn it over. We don't really know who that is yet. Boswell is a great defender.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to find, I think, somebody else in that backcourt that they can count on.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, now today combined, Gillespie and Nate Ament combined for 10 3-pointers. I was really encouraged to see Nate find his stroke on the three today. I mean, score just a couple of points here. The score in this game was 56-30 at halftime. Tennessee ahead, of course. 40 of those 56 points came from JG and Nate Ament. They are going to need a third guy. What I was happy to see was JP Estrella was back much quicker than everybody thought. We had not done a show since he went down with that knee injury last Monday night that looked a little scary, but thankfully it wasn't anything bad. He looked spry today, 10 points in 10 minutes, and I think he can be that third option. Now, he's not a two-guard, like you were saying. I do think that's going to be what's interesting is what materializes there. But the return of him, and also you mentioned Bishop Boswell, and I'm starting to get some Jemai Mashak vibes with Bishop Boswell because he plays D, but listen to this line, CeeLo. 2 points, 3 boards, 5 assists, 3 steals. His plus-minus was plus up around 20. He's doing all the little things, and Rick depends on him for his defense too. But
that's why he's playing. That's why he's playing, man. He's doing exactly what Coach Barnes wants him to do.
Yeah, and so I think that those two returning kind of gave them some extra juice in this game. The other thing that I think is noteworthy, Jacoby had 32 points. He only had 2 turnovers. He's been a little careless with the ball sometimes, but that didn't happen today. So. And I also thought Nate was pretty tentative early in the game. It felt like he was passing up on some open looks, but that changed. He found his stride, ended up with 20 points, 5 boards, 3 assists. That guy's special. We know it. Felix, 10 points, 7 boards, 3 blocks, did his normal thing. I felt even the announcers on TNT were saying it after the game, the studio guys, that the Vols kind of put the country on notice, like, hey man, we're pretty serious, but show me that against Houston on Tuesday, and then I'll be a firm believer. I mean, I think this is a very good team, but Houston's going to really test them.
Yeah, and they've got 4 games where we're going to have a much better feel for where Tennessee is. But, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They are right now. These are games that will pay dividends down the road when you play this type of competition with a new roster, new players. I'm like you. I look forward to seeing how they battle, how they compete.
Yeah.
Do they back down? I'm not saying they're going to back down against Houston, but do they get in Houston's grill? We're to me, Amen is a really good player now.
Yeah.
Unbelievably talented player. But where he becomes an elite player is because I just get the feel when he has the ball, he can get his shot anytime he wants to.
Right.
So when does he go from being that guy at his length, at his wingspan, and his handle, when he gets in, instead of shooting the floater, Bob, he gets all the way to the glass. Yeah. That's when he goes from being really, really good and really, really talented and unbridled potential to being a dominant basketball player. And I think he will get there. Yeah. And this is a good team to sort of see, because at his length, at his handle, man, when he learns to sort of one more step, absorb that contact, and get to the basket, he's going to be dangerous. And that's why I look forward to seeing him against this type of competition. And who else is going to be able to make shots for them from the perimeter? Yeah. They're going to need more than Gillespie. Is it Berg? Is it one of those other guys? I don't see Boswell ever being a guy that shoots a lot of perimeter shots. Mayshak didn't shoot a lot. Yeah. He got better because what's going to happen? Teams are going to lay off. They're going to shadow Gillespie, and we're going, all right, someone else is going to have to make a perimeter shot.
That's right.
Yeah, and who's that guy going to be? And I think the beauty of what we've seen so far is Rick's been able to play so many guys in so many combinations to start to get some ideas of who some of those guys are going to be.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think if we could use that game against Rutgers as maybe a microcosm for what you were saying about Nate, because like I said at the beginning, he was passing up on shots, but then later in the game, he took one guy baseline, scored on him, got fouled, and you could even see him talking to one of his teammates saying, like, man, I got this. It's like he kind of evolved in this game. We need to see that over the course of the season, and I think we will with Nate.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, you just don't see many guys like that walking the planet who's that tall. Yeah. And has that type of wingspan. He can handle the ball and just smooth. I mean, nothing he does looks like it's forced or herky-jerky. I mean, there's a reason he was one of the top 5 players in the country. But no, we played a lot. Jalen Carey's another one, Bob. He's a guy that I watched him play last year more than just the Tennessee game. And he was a dependable low post scorer for Vandy. Good rebounder, good offensive rebounder. Yeah. They really could use him being one of those guys he's not garbage is probably a bad word, but gets garbage points, maybe, workman type points. Yeah. Offside rebounds, gets the ball low, goes strong, draws fouls. I mean, they'd love for him to be an 8 or 9 point, 5 rebound guy. Yeah. He didn't have to be a 13 or 14 point guy, but if they could depend on him to be an 8, 9, sometimes 12 point guy who's going to get you 4, 5, 6 rebounds every game, that really makes them pretty lethal in the front court with the way Felix has improved. You're right. Estrella is, I think if he can stay healthy, then he's going to be a huge piece of that puzzle. And Cade Phillips is always going to be a guy who's going to get you a ton of hustle points.
Steady guy. The last thing I'll say, and we'll put a bow on this, is Carey in that Rice game I went to last week. Not that I want to see him doing this regularly, but they were putting backcourt pressure, bringing the ball up on Jacoby, and he was the inbounds guy. They gave it to Jalen. Jalen felt comfortable bringing the ball up. He actually had like 3 or 4 assists in that game. So my point in that is he is versatile to a degree, and so he can do a little bit of stuff that, you don't want him out on the perimeter. But my point is, we're not getting the full effect of Jalen Carey yet, and hopefully that can change.
Yeah, and he's played he's played. This is not new to him, this type of competition. He went the whole season. Yep. In the SEC, it was pretty steady for him. I mean, really, he beat the game they won. He he torched Tennessee. So we know it's in him.
Oh,
We know
yeah.
it's in him.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, we got to wrap. I got to get ready for turkey here in a couple days. My wife set up food for 10 people, and we're not having 10 people there. So that means I got to clean up a lot of food, eat a lot of stuff. So I'm going to do it, man, and hope you get a little time off as well. And you out there watching and listening, thank you. We'll be back next week with another edition of the RTI Lowdown. We'll recap that enormous regular season finale with Vanderbilt. We'll also discuss how the basketball Vols fared in Vegas as they enter in, like we just said, against some big-time competition. Houston, and then whoever they play the next game will be a big-time team too. As always, we want to thank our sponsor, the Tate Insurance Group. And also, one more time, make sure you like and subscribe this show on our YouTube channel, Rocky Top Insider, and download our podcast wherever you listen to your pods. CeeLo, appreciate you being a part of the show. I always enjoy chopping it up with you, man. And
always
happy
a lot of fun. I
Thanksgiving.
look forward to the show, and certainly we want to thank Casey Clausen
Yes.
for joining us. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, to all of you out there, we wish you a safe and happy holiday. And we'll see you next time on the RTI Lowdown.